Craig Cameron, Gloves Red, delighted to be joined by Dean Sutherland. Dean, how are you getting on all right?
I'm very good, Craig. Yourself?
I'm good. Listen, I've been looking forward to this for a while, Dean. I've been wanting to chat to you for a long time since, but for whatever reason, it's just not happened. So delighted to be finally talking to you this morning, and not a better time to be than your victory recently. So crowned new WBO Youth World Champion.
Mm-hmm. It was a nice year in that.
Yeah. Dean, for me, like myself and Jamie, kind of Gloves Red, see you as a really exciting prospect for Scotland that's going to go places. And off the back of that impressive victory, like, how would you assess your performance?
Realistically, the performance itself was probably only like a 6 or a 7. I didn't really even get out of second gear, to be fair. I think that just the happiest bit about it was showing the improvements that I've made with changing camps and being able to put a little bit of the work that we've done in quite a short period of time into use, and felt comfortable enough to do that in a live fight instead of, it's okay sometimes doing it in sparring or on the pads, but the biggest telltale signs when you do it in a live fight. And because I was able to do that and felt very comfortable, then that was the biggest privilege taken away from it. But it was actually more of a learning curve, because it was probably to start off with, it was the best camp, and then it turned out to be one of the toughest camps I've ever been through. So to get through that and still have the performance, get the stoppage victory, and get the nice new shiny belt, then it's all worth it.
Yeah, and so what was the reason it was one of the kind of toughest camps? Was there anything that happened in camp?
So I'd kept it very, very quiet, but I had 2 grade 1 tears of ligaments in my foot 4 weeks before the fight. And as soon as I went to go see somebody, they said it's a 6 to 8 week repair. And I was like, I've only got 4 weeks. So I'm just going to have to need to make the most of it. Literally did 0 impact sort of work. So I did 1 run just for a quick 3 miles in the last 4 weeks, and I did 3 boxing sessions in the 4 weeks in the build up to a fight. It was literally just all cardio and a bit of strength work for my upper body, and just mentally just trying to keep myself in the right place for it. I was doing everything possible. I was doing like the cryotherapy near enough every single day. The only videos that was getting shown was when I was doing the full body. I was getting that every couple of days, but I was getting isolated just on my foot every single day. I was getting stretched. I was taking lots of different vitamins to try help the ligaments in my foot. So I literally tried everything possible for it. And that was even the most nervous bit on fight night. Wasn't the fight itself. I just literally, like, Billy just came back into the room. Everybody was a wee bit down and stuff like that, but I wasn't even nervous about the fight. I was literally just nervous about my foot keeping up. I think it just even showed like my nervousness. Like the first time I was tying my boots to put on, I tied it far too tight, and I was just like, "Oh my god, right! I need to calm down a little bit and get this sorted." But once I got in there, I didn't feel a single thing. Still feel it now, and I've got a good bit of time to get a bit of recovery in just now, and rehab just now, which is perfect. But the main thing was trying to get through that last week's of camp, make sure the weight was off, make sure I'm fully fit if it was to go 10 rounds, and just make sure my movement was good. And when I spoke to people, nobody even realised, looking at the performance, that was the case. But must have just been a good poker face that I had on.
Yeah, I mean, I was sitting next to Jamie, and I was just saying, you look so composed in there. I mean, you've gave us some insight there that you had an injury that you kind of fought through in the build-up. And one of the questions I was going to ask was touching on Billy, because, you know, I know you guys are close and kind of train together and things. So for him to get in against a Mexican, and we've seen recently on these kind of matchroom cards that, you know, there's a lot of banana skins out there. So did that make you even more nervous in terms of Billy's loss, or were you just kind of focused on the kind of injury and hoping, right, I hope this holds up?
I literally, obviously, boxing an individual sport, so I literally just had to concentrate on myself. I think it was probably a blessing as well that Billy was going first, and most of the team was obviously out with him. So I was by myself in Shug from our bro stayed in the change room to speak away to me and stuff like that as well. But just being able to really have a bit of time to myself and zone in and get rid of the nervous energy about my foot and just solely concentrate on putting on a brilliant performance and making sure I was in the right place. I think having that good 15, 20 minutes to settle myself down probably worked in my favour, especially with my foot, because when Billy came in, it was obviously I felt disheartened and upset and annoyed for the team, but I literally just had my blinkers on and thinking, right, I've got a job to do. I don't want that to happen to me. I need to take this belt home and I need to get this win. So I think it was good that I had a bit of time to myself to get the blinkers on and concentrate. If I was maybe in a packed changing room and there was loads of people speaking away, and I wouldn't have been as focused and took it more to heart probably. But like straight away after the fight, although I was excited for myself, I was obviously disappointed for my teammate at the same time. But before the fight, I literally there was only one thing I had to do, and it was to go in there and win, and that was my job to do.
Yeah, of course. And it seemed you had a lot of fans down. I remember the roar at the end of the fight, and I was like, wow, I really need to get to Aberdeen when Dean's fighting up there, because the ovation you had in Hamilton, which is what, like 3 hours travel down?
Of course.
Yeah. So, some support. So, Dean, I wanted to touch on a couple of changes you've had recently. So, the main one, you've changed from Skyax to Northern Sporting Club. Like, how did that come about? And I suppose, what was your thinking behind that?
It'd been something to start off with. It wasn't actually Northern Sporting Club I was looking at. When I was coming to the agreement, I think in my family, speaking away to Sam, looking back at my performances, that I felt myself plateauing or not improving the way that I thought I should have been improving, or to the speed that I thought I should have been improving. And my first actual initial thought was to be moving south. I'd actually considered moving down to England and started speaking to a few coaches and stuff like that down there to see about taking myself to the next level. I always knew about Davey and always had massive respect for him. He's always seen everything that I've done, my kickboxing, seen me in the professional shows and stuff like that as well. And it was just kind of timing aspect of things. I spoke away to a couple of coaches down in England. Things were okay there, but I still had a lot of financial things I would have to sort out. I had a lot of like family stuff, how I was going to work. Would I be down there for 5 days and come back up the weekend? There was just a lot of logistic stuff that I had to think about. And at the time, I didn't really have the sponsors that were going to be able to help me do that. So financially, it was literally going to be my mum and dad having to pay for me to go down there, which is a lot of expense. And then once it was getting closer to the decision that when I was going to move, Sam had spoke away to me and said, well, why don't you go up and speak to Davey and consider it? And as soon as he'd said that, the light bulb went off. I was like, well, why don't I do that? As literally, instead of doing an hour and 15 minutes travel, it's 15 minutes from my house. It's obviously a thriving gym. It's got Billy, it's got his brother Callum, it's got experience like Darren Trainer and stuff like that in the gym as well. And it is a full-on boxing gym. Everything about it is just boxing. Matt has been a professional, now does coaching. Davey's boxed as an amateur, now does the coaching. Old Davey, he's been there and seen it all through the coaching aspect of things as well. And I think just when it came to like the lockdown aspect of it, that really made my decision for me there and then. thinking to myself, right, well, I'm not working, I'm on a percentage of the wage that I've got. I need to really see what's going to be the best future for me right now. Went up, spoke to Davey, got on really, really well, had a really good connection. He instantly pointed out the improvements that I needed to look at, which was great, knowing after just a couple of sessions that he could see improvements I needed to do. And just the atmosphere in the gym, the competitiveness in the gym, I was absolutely loving it. So as soon as it was obviously a hard decision to make, more from a personal point of view, having been at SkyX for so long and have a really, really good relationship with Paul, been through, he's seen me from going from a kid to a teenager to a young man, basically, and took me into the professional game. So it was hard to do that, but realistically, over the period of time at lockdown, I was obviously sitting down thinking what the decision is going to do. And over the period of time, the more and more reasons I found to make the change. So it was something that I needed to do for my career, and I'm absolutely loving it and thriving just now. And I think you're only just starting to see the 2.0 version of me, and it's going to get even better.
Great, Dean. And I know previously you've went down to like the Ingle Gym stuff to spar, like Sir Kell Brook, etc. And it was a subject I actually spoke to Craig Dixon prior to them going down for Cash's fight this weekend. Is it challenging for you to get that kind of sparring with where you are located?
Yeah, it is difficult. I think the good thing now is me and Billy's both in the same gym. So we've got a little bit more pool because of the level that we're both competing at. So, for instance, like we've been down to Manchester to the Finest Gym, been down to Glasgow a few times for sparring and stuff like that. We're being able to get guys in. Davey's actually just signed 2 Irish lads. One's I think a welterweight and one's a middleweight. So like they're very, very good level of sparring. I've got Callum in the gym, which is brilliant for me. Technically, Callum's an absolute sound boxer. And then I think it's just where we're based, we obviously need to travel for the really hard competitive sparring, but at the same time where there is enough challenging opposition in Scotland. Like Corey comes up quite often, Fraser Wilkinson comes down, all really, really good boys as well to help. And although they might not be competing at the same level as me, it's still hard rounds, and it gives me that bit of time to improve on fitness, but also improve on the stuff we're working on in the gym. Things, for instance, like if I'm need to be throwing the body shot a certain way, I've got live targets to be practicing that on. And I think as well, a lot of people don't realise most of the punishment that you take in your boxing career is in the sparring. So if you're 2-3 times a week having ridiculously hard spars, having absolute wars, you're literally just cutting your boxing career lifespan every single time that you do it. So it's good. It is good. Don't get me wrong. And you need that experience to go away to an away gym as such and have that fear factor as you walk in. Everybody's staring you up and down, and you go in there, and it is a fight basically, just with heavy gloves and a head guard. But you also need the more technical controlled sparring sessions and that as well. And I think just now in Aberdeen we're managing to get the right people in for that. And I think just over the next period of time we're going to see us having to travel more to gyms like Manchester and Liverpool, London, anywhere like that, Sheffield, to get that aggressive spars, because the way me and Billy's both going, we're going to need it going forward in our careers.
Yeah, and again, touching back on Craig Dixon was saying it's vital to any fighter that, you know, for their development to see those kind of different styles and things. And I just wanted to touch on, because I know when you went to the Ingle Gym, how was that experience for you? You were saying there, like, people looking up and down and stuff, and you were sparring with Kell Brook. Like, what was that experience like?
The experience itself was something I'll never forget, because I went down to Ingle Gym completely by myself. I literally finished work on the Thursday, my mum drove me to the airport. I got changed in the car and flew down. And then first thing, walking into the Ingle gym by myself, thought, make sure I get there nice and early. Walk in, and the whole Sky Sports production team has got the lights, camera, action. Kel's sitting down doing an interview. And I just walked in and I was like, oh, fuck. Like, just like hit me in reality a little bit. I was like, wow, this is like a different level. I didn't know anybody at the gym. I didn't even know what the changing rooms or anything like that were. I just stood there a wee bit until somebody said, "Oh, the change rooms is here." But I knew instantly that is a much, much higher level, and that is the level that I want to be competing and getting the sparring sessions and stuff like that in. And I think just walking in there and instantly getting hit with that set the standard of what the sparring was going to be like as well. I had the butterflies going in, nervous, but really, really looking forward to it. And I think when you ask anybody if they've got that pressure on them, they always perform better. So when I went in there, I had really, really good rounds with Kel. They were impressed, and then I was back in on the Monday for more rounds with him as well. And then actually during, like just before the lockdown came, was it during lockdown? Yeah, it was during lockdown that Kell Brook obviously had the Terence Crawford fight. I remember I was at work, literally went to the toilet to waste 10-15 minutes before for lunch, and he'd sent me a DM asking to see if I could get flights over to Fuerteventura to stay in his villa and give him sparring the build up to the Terence Crawford fight. And that honestly just absolutely lit up my whole day. I didn't even eat anything at lunch. I was literally phoning my dad, phoning Sam, phoning Davey, speaking like, when can we get these flights organised? Like, what's the prices? Literally the whole time. Had it near enough all finalised. I think the flights were going to be flying out on the Sunday, and Kelly dropped me a message on the Friday night saying there was a problem where his visa and he was going to have to come back on the Tuesday. So it worked out that I would have only been going out for 2 days, so it wouldn't really have been worth it for him or myself. So that was unfortunate, but just massive, massive confidence boost for myself to get somebody that's made to go fight one of the best pound for pound fighters in the world, and he's direct messaging me saying that I would be the person that he would choose for the sparring out of everybody in the UK. So that was a massive, massive compliment and a massive boost for myself as well.
Yeah, great. No, absolutely. So, Dean, you've also signed with Dennis Hobson as well. Would you be able to tell us like a wee bit of how that works? Is it like co-promoted with Sam? And how did that come about? Like, did you have any other offers and stuff like that as well?
So no, I'm strictly just promoted by Dennis. Sam's still my manager, but on a promotional contract side of things, it'll be just Dennis Hobson that'll be fighting on. Which is really, really exciting for me. Got a 3-year contract planned out, roughly what we're going to be doing. In talks quite often. I'm actually going to see Sam while I'm down in Glasgow, speaking about what we're going to plan to do next for the next show. So it came about pretty quickly, to be fair. I knew that just before the lockdown, Sam was actually speaking to Frank Warren's team about a promotional deal for myself. And it was back and forth, but at a really, really slow pace. Sam was getting frustrated with it. It didn't really get me excited because it was going so slow. But Sam always said to me that he wanted me, Calvin, some of like the younger prospect aspect, but to try and get a promotional deal to tie us up. Like, it's been great fighting on Sam's promotions, but he's looking to try to take us to the next level and push us on in our careers. And as soon as the Dennis Hobson idea came about, I'll be 100% honest, I wasn't too sure at the time with them trying to launch Fight Zone, like coming back into the UK and stuff like that as well. But as soon as they started speaking about the ideas that they've got for me, and the massive one was they want to put big shows on in Aberdeen. That was almost like the selling point for me. If they were willing to come up and put on big shows in Aberdeen, they're going to invest in me and put towards big opportunities. And it's a long-term deal as such for the 3 years that, and especially during the COVID aspect of things, I didn't know when I was going to be getting a fight or if it was going to be behind closed doors or anything like that. And it just made sense at the time. And then just speaking away to Dennis himself when we were down in Sheffield, he's just very, very exciting for the prospect of me, Billy, Calvin, Nathaniel, just the young up-and-coming Scottish boxers. And he is very, very invested into the Scottish boxing, which is only going to benefit everybody. So it was a bit of a no-brainer for me and something that I'm really looking forward to carry on working with Dennis and Fight Zone. And as you can see, the promotion and stuff like that they put on and the platform, the quality of everything is right up there. So it's really exciting for myself.
Yeah, definitely. I see Fight Zone straight away. They're putting on cards with really competitive fights on it, which is only going to bring fans. It's only going to bring people subscribing to the channel. Great. So, with the nights coming to Aberdeen, has there been any chat at Pittodrie, or where are we looking at?
The next one won't be in Pittodrie, but we're in very, very good talks. We've had a couple of back and forths with the team at Aberdeen. Very interested in looking at doing something at Pittodrie. And got a lot of people behind it. My sponsors, Texo, they're one of the main sponsors for Aberdeen. They've spoke away to it. Some people on the board at Aberdeen as well. They've reached out to my dad and said that they would be very interested in helping in some sort of way. So it's basically, I think it's just down to agreeing the final details as such and when they're going to do it, when's the best placement and stuff like that. But my next fight is going to be in November and will hopefully be in Aberdeen for that one. It looks more like it'll be the Beach Ballroom for this one, but really exciting to have talks that the two goals that I had when I started like taekwondo or kickboxing, doesn't matter what it was to train full time as a professional, do it as my job, and compete at Pittodrie. And I'm getting very, very close to both of them. So it's just really exciting for myself and a great time to be involved in the sport.
Yeah, and Dean, painting a bit of picture here, hypothetical, fighting back in Aberdeen, would you like a domestic rival, or have you got your eyes on another title or another opponent?
I think that's actually what I'm going to be speaking away to Sam about. I'd actually had a couple of ideas for Sam in Dennis Hobson. Hopefully that they're excited about it. For me, it wouldn't really matter if it's a domestic opponent, but the way I've got a bit of momentum going just now, either defending the WBO title or looking for another title would be the biggest interest for me. I think that's just what excites me most just now. And I think if I can create as much avenues for myself to go down and give myself as much possibilities for different routes, if instead of like just going down the British route, if I can go the WBO route or another association at the same time, plus put my rankings up in the British rankings, it just makes more sense to me to spread myself out, give myself more paths to go down instead of just solely focusing on one.
Great. And yeah, I heard a rumour about you back to work on Monday after your fight. Is that right?
I was back to work, back on the site, building new houses, starting that. But I had a couple of people message me like, "Oh, like is your boss not giving you a day off or anything like that?" And it was nothing to do with that. My boss was fantastic with me in the build up to my fight. I was off every Monday and Friday for like 5-6 weeks in the build up. I was off completely on fight week, and I didn't take any damage during the fight. I was fit and healthy, wasn't tired or anything like that. So it was the least that I could do was go back to work. And plus, obviously, the buzz of everybody at work was great to be around, and a lot of them that I haven't seen for a while because I've been off quite regularly. So it was good to be back at work, to be fair. And although my boss understands as well that I might not be there for too much longer, but at the same time, while I'm there, I do enjoy my job. So I'd rather be going to my work and enjoying myself with the guys there and getting on with stuff instead of just sitting in the house doing nothing really.
Yeah, I think the main challenge when you look at Scottish boxing gyms and fighters, and naturally you went down to Dingle Gym, and you can see that's like a full-time gym. Like typically the fighters and stuff, they don't have other jobs. They're, you know, full-time fighters. So is that something that you're eyeing, you know, soon? Is it just depends on, I suppose, sponsors, etc.?
Mostly just depends on sponsors, but the way things are going, and I think the momentum and interest that I'm building up just now, getting a lot more people talking about myself on social media, getting much more attention from it. A lot of people messaging me that's interested, which I was speaking away to my mum and dad before. It was actually, I think it was 10 years ago last week. My mum showed me, we had sent out an email while I was doing my kickboxing to 50 different local businesses in Cove, in Portlethen, and we got one reply from Asda offering me a £10 gift voucher. And it just goes to show now that it's completely the opposite way around. It's not us looking for sponsors, like sending out to them, it's them coming to us because of the value that I'm bringing to it now. So it's a great feeling that I'm doing something that I love, plus I'm also getting more like interest into myself and making my life easier, which is exactly what you want to be doing. You're putting in all the hard work, you're wanting to be reaping the rewards at the same time, and I think I'm going in the right direction. So I can realistically only see myself working for maybe another year, and then hopefully into the full-time aspect of it. But it's just got to be the best things for my plans going forward in the future. I've got a few things that I'd like to do with my boxing money and my Sparky money at the same time before I did go full time. So it's about just investing myself into that just now and being as smart as possible.
Great. And Dean, finally, something I wanted to touch on you with in relation to is, for me, when I see you in the ring, I think your footwork's excellent. Which you don't typically see, you know, people coming from kickboxing, they kind of struggle in terms of their footwork with kickboxing and boxing. How hard was that for you? How hard have you worked at that in terms of, because for me, your footwork's excellent. So how hard was it changing from kickboxing to boxing technically?
I think it's probably actually a lot easier than what most people would think of. I did different kickboxing style as such. I was a traditional kickboxer. I did my taekwondo first, and that was very much like predominantly kicks, but it was like hit and don't get hit, which was different to the traditional kickboxing where it's a bit more you go, I go, you go, I go aspect to it. So I was very much like, I want to hit you as much times as I can, but I don't want to get hit. Like I actually get more enjoyment out of making people miss than what I would do hitting them. I think it's just the challenge aspect of it that they're trying their absolute hardest to hit me and I'm making them miss, and it is a good joyful bit about it. But I just think when I did decide I was going to go into the boxing, it was probably perfect timing for me as well. Like Lomachenko was probably coming just onto the mainstream aspect of it, being a southpaw fighter, dancing around people. I was just like, wow, that's exactly why I want to look at. And I'm very much a visual learner at the same time. So I don't know how many hours and hours I've watched the different Lomachenko in the amateurs or documentaries on him, stuff like that. And just other, basically I just try to watch as much boxing as I possibly could, put little bits of each different style into it and shake it up and see what comes out really. But it's definitely something that I felt is improved more and more and more. But I think now working with Davey at the Northern Sport Club is being smart about it. It's not just doing the footwork for no reason. It's about being efficient with everything that I'm doing with it. And there's still a few improvements that I've got to make, and I realise that, Davey realised that, but if I'm making that improvements every single time, then that's exactly what I want to be doing. But even, I think on the Fight Zone, you can hear Glenn McCrory speaks about like my balance, my footwork and stuff like that as well. And for me, it's just, it was never really hard to transition across from it. It's just, that's my fighting style, and that's the way I feel is most comfortable is hitting them and trying not to get hit myself.
Great. And finally, Dean, just before I let you go, we're speaking briefly off camera, but you were mentioning that you're travelling down to Greenock today. You see your gran and grandpa. You've not seen them in over 2 years. How special will that be, seeing them and taking the belt with you?
Oh, it'll be brilliant. My granddad's always been a massive, massive fan. I think it's over the last couple of fights they haven't managed to get to our shows. They're getting a bit older and stuff like that as well. So to be able to go down, as soon as I phoned him and said that we were going to come down, you can almost hear that he was near enough in tears on the phone. Just proper excitement. He was always like my biggest fan, even coming from like playing school football. He would be there every single Saturday to come along and watch. So it'll be a really, really special moment to show him the belt, but mostly just to go down and see him. And I'm just really, really looking forward to having a good family time before getting back into the swing of things.
Great. All right, well, Dean, listen, I hope you enjoy that. I'm sure it'll be special, but I'll let you go just now because I know you need to travel down to Greenock, but really appreciate you taking the time to speak to us, and all the best. Look forward to seeing you fighting in Aberdeen in November.
Thank you very much, Craig. Cheers for that, pal.
All right, Dean, cheers. Bye-bye.
Good.